as that
We got one
goes.
more argument in us, don't we?
Oh, we do. And this argument is about off-season drama. So, Connor, square this one up for us. You can take the lead on this one.
Rutledge, one of the we have there's three quarterbacks. There's three stories that this conversation has really started from. Number one, I think we have Adam Schefter breaking the story about Aaron Rodgers on draft night. Number two, we have potential friend of the show, but show favorite Russell Wilson, and all of the unhappiness that you kept on hearing from the Seahawks back office. And you have all the talk surrounding Tim Tebow being one of now 90 players on the Jacksonville Jaguars roster. Rutledge, the NFL feels like it is a soap opera, and I don't quite know if I'm here for it.
Go on.
What do you think? What do you think about all of these non NFL, non football related stories that we're hearing? Are they overhyped? Are they underhyped? Does it not matter as much? What do you think?
I actually think these stories for the NFL are important because, and not just the NFL, but sports in general. I think these stories are important to sort of understand what's going on, what's talking. So there's been a lot of talk of these. Now on Colin Cowherd, Uncle Colin show, Jamal Adams came out and said today if Aaron Rodgers were to leave, which he hasn't left yet, he would also think about packing up out of Green Bay. That's a massive conversation to have and to say on a very well known, well respected sports radio show that if my quarterback's not there, I'm not going to be there. And that's just based off of the conversations that have happened. I want to take it back in time and talk about, to me, the first big quarterback drama that I followed that was important. Brett Favre, end of the Packers time, right before the New York Jets. What was going to happen? What was he going to do? He's retired. Now he's back. They want him. They want Rodgers. They're going to go with Rodgers. It was a franchise changing move for the Jets because in his debut, Favre went out there. He threw 194 yards in his first game. And then in week four later, he threw six touchdowns against the your always pick Arizona Cardinals. You think about it, he took a franchise from an 8-3 record from 4-12 to 8-3. As that goes, following that along with Favre, if we would have just not said anything all summer long, and then at training camp, oh, by the way, Brett Favre's a Jet, would not have, yes, we would have watched it on the field, but would not have made the hugest impact as it did. You look at the decision, we will always remember watching LeBron James's jerseys for Cleveland burn because of how betrayed the city of Cleveland felt. These are people where we buy their names on our t-shirts and our jerseys and spend hundreds of dollars. I think it's important to know what they're doing and where they're going at all times. I
Oh,
mean,
nice block. So who do you think is the who do you think Rutledge is the why is it important that you and I know that well first off, I didn't realize you're breaking news here. I didn't realize Jamal Adams actually played for the Green Bay Packers. I think you're talking about Devontae Adams.
once again, come for
Uh,
the friendship, not for the names.
um, number two, I think that in why do we need to know about what what Brett Favre's thinking? Why do we
Because
need to know that Patrick Peterson is thinking about his thoughts on Kirk Cousins versus Justin Fields?
well, let's frame it up and I'll answer your question with a different question. Do you want to wait for preseason to find out that you're going to now watch Jordan Love and and Geno Smith lead two playoff teams into the future? Is that the NFL you want to be surprised with, or would you rather have a little bit of a heads up before training camp to know that, oh, two franchises that I've sort of respected over the past couple years are about to be garbage?
I think yet again, Rutledge. I think you're having two different conversations with yourself. It's there's the way in which we're looking at sort of like a transfer portal type situation, and then there's folks that make stories. If you followed what Adam, all the talking heads were saying about Adam Schefter after after the thing came out that Adam Schefter had the Aaron Rodgers story and was sitting on it, everybody was very, very cautious not to kind of bury Schefter for that. But Schefter kind of made a story, right? Schefter, uh, it, the timing of it was for the drama, for the quote soap opera element, as opposed to saying, "Hey, uh, let's talk about who's going to get drafted where." So I think that as reporters maybe sit on stories a little bit too long, maybe as there's unsubstantiated stories that get out there, and then all of a sudden a GM is being asked what somebody thinks, you know, they're like, man, he hurt my feelings because he said something bad about my mama, but he didn't say anything bad about his mama. And I think you get a little kind of sidetracked to what's kind of the main thing, and that's putting together a successful football team.
So you don't think these conversations are important because Adam Schefter essentially fabricated one.
I think that is an example of a reason why the story is important. Another story that is out there now that I don't think is that important at all is the fact that Tim Tebow is a Jacksonville Jaguar. But that's everything that the sports talking heads were talking about today. For our viewer out there, I'm in Orlando in the flesh here, but I spent today in Atlanta driving around doing some business meetings, so I got the time to really hone in the Sirius XM radio and be able to. Everyone was talking about their thoughts about Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow is one of now 90 players on the Jacksonville Jaguars. If Tim Tebow makes the roster, that is a much larger story than Tim Tebow is being brought into training camp to probably be a warm body. It's like, is there really not another good baseball story out there in terms of even in-season stuff? Is there really not just another story out there outside of, hey, a guy who's in his mid-30s, who's old, slow, and short, he's going to be tight end for the team that drafted number one in
How tall is
this
Tebow?
past season. 6'2".
That's kind of short for a tight end.
6'2", clocked, I believe, 6'2", 4'7", 40, and that was in his mid-20s. And let's remember, Tim Tebow was last seen playing quarterback. He was not putting his hand in the dirt as a tight end, having to block defensive ends that, are trying to put food on the table and make generational wealth for their families. So, I think it's a total I think Tim Tebow stuff is a total non-story, and I think we're seeing more and more total non-stories throughout the NFL offseason.
I see the Tim Tebow signing as an Urban Meyer culture grab. He's trying to really win his locker room, so he's going to put someone in there that he knows is going to listen and going to respect him and going to buy in. But I don't know if he's a starter. I don't even know if he makes the roster. But in other news, so you were in Atlanta, little Sirius XM. What type of rental car did you have?
Pardon me?
What type of rental car are we cruising around in?
I went Chevy Malibu.
Okay.
I went Chevy Malibu. That would be another sponsor that I'd love to have on the show. Would be Chevy.
That'd be great. That's nice. Little ATL, little leather seats.
A little ATL came in today. Drove up to Gainesville, Georgia. Have a lunch meeting. Then head down to kind of right on the north side of the perimeter for another appointment. Then headed to the airport. And Rutledge, I am pouring it on you again tonight.
I know it is. I miss the Bucks. I regret quitting. Every time I quit the game, I'm winning. I feel bad because I'm like, it's one-sided, and this is a 30-point game. Healthy Zion. Lonzo Ball is having a clinic with me. I'm skipping this timeout because I'm not upset. Skip the timeout.
Lonzo Ball is doing well. Zion's got 20 points. It's been a good night, but yeah, no, I think the other. It's just there's a ton of non-stories out there in the NFL. But I think that maybe there's some folks and some NFL reporters that have seen how much traction the NBA gets during their offseason that maybe they're kind of getting a little jealous.
So who do you think the offseason matters more to, the NFL or the NBA?
In terms of reporting, In
It,
terms of gaining fanhood or in terms of putting together a championship caliber team?
all of the above.
I think that the as it relates to kind of fans, I think that the NBA really needs to have some interesting storylines. Um, One of the things I never forget this about the NFL versus the NBA. We have a more personal relationship with the NBA players, and in some ways also, even though we don't hear from them as much, MLS players, because we get to see their faces. Because we get to see their faces, we feel more in tune to them, and as opposed to just having the jerseys and the helmets, and we'll see people's headshots on the little sidebar. So no, I think it's very important as it relates to storylines um, to show NFL or to have more NBA storylines. But I think as it relates to putting together a championship team, I mean, there is so much. I think the biggest thing for me, it's always going to come down to roster size. Because of roster size, the amount of scouting that needs to go on, there is so much that's involved with putting together a great NFL team, an NFL championship caliber team.
And there's always so many misses that happen with putting together an NBA team. We'll go a little hometown heroes and talk about how many times the Orlando Magic franchise has really got it wrong. And they're going to try to do it again and again and again. Because
There
this
was a
year they
time where
gutted
the
it.
Magic were a pretty well run organization.
There was a time. Now is not
It
that
is not
time.
this time.
They want it to be this time, but this is not their time at all. And boom goes the dynamite.
It's now 15 points for Drew Holiday,
That
and he has an
is,
F paint rating.
yeah. And oh, there's another bad pass. Lonzo Ball, is he gonna get it? I thought he was gonna get it just the way this game is going.
Very close. Very